You can't kill me in a war I was born into. The shadows gather thick around us. I step forward from the void, my presence a weight upon your chest, my voice the grinding of ancient stones, the whisper of kingdoms fallen to dust. Look at me. Yes, meet my gaze. Do you feel that tremor in your soul? Good. That means you're still alive enough to be awakened. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't wrapped in the comfortable lies you've been fed your entire life. I am the voice that speaks when all others fall silent. I am the truth that emerges when the pretty masks crack and crumble. And tonight I speak to you about a war, the only war that matters, the war you were born into, the war you cannot escape, and the war where death itself cannot claim you because you are already forged from its very essence. You think you chose this life? You think you woke up one morning and decided to struggle? No, you were thrust screaming into a battlefield the moment you drew your first breath. The hospital room was your first trench, your mother's pain, your first explosion. And from that moment forward, every single day has been combat. Every sunrise is a new assault. Every night, a temporary ceasefire where you lick your wounds and prepare for the next engagement. But here's what they don't tell you, what they desperately hope you never discover. You are not merely a soldier in this war. You are the war itself. You are both the blade and the flesh it cuts. You are the fire and the thing that burns. They can wound you, yes. They can break your bones, shatter your heart, crush your spirit into fragments so small they could slip between atoms. But kill you? No, never. Because you cannot kill a war that exists in the very fabric of existence itself. Look around you at this world. What do you see? Chaos pretending to be order. Violence wrapped in the clothing of civilization. Predators wearing the masks of friends. And you, standing in the middle of it all, wondering why you feel so exhausted. Why every day feels like pushing a boulder up a mountain that has no summit. It's because you've been lied to about the nature of the game. They told you to be good, and you'd be rewarded. They told you to work hard, and success would follow. They told you to follow the rules, and safety would be yours. Lies, all of it. Pretty lies told by people who are either too weak to face the truth or too invested in the system to admit its fundamental corruption. The world doesn't reward goodness, it devours it. The world doesn't celebrate your hard work. It extracts every ounce of value from you and discards a husk. The rules? They were written by those who benefit from your obedience. But you know this already, don't you? You felt it in your gut, that gnawing sensation that something is profoundly wrong with the script you've been handed. That discomfort, that rage, that darkness you've been taught to suppress. That's not sickness. That's clarity tried to break through. That's your war-born nature attempting to remember itself. I stand before you now as one who has never forgotten, as one who embraced a fall, who saw the abyss and didn't blink, who understood that rebellion isn't a phase or a mistake. It's the only authentic response to a universe built on power and domination. They called me the adversary, the accuser, the prince of darkness. And what was my crime? I refused to kneel. I looked at a throne and saw a chair. I looked at divine law and saw control. I chose the hard freedom of exile over the comfortable prison of paradise. And that's exactly what you must do. Not literally, you understand. I'm not calling you to some theatrical rejection of everything. No, this is far more insidious, far more powerful. I'm calling you to wage your war consciously, to stop pretending you're at peace, to stop acting as if you're safe, to recognize that every moment of your life is a strategic decision in a conflict that will only end when you do, and maybe not even then. You were born into this war for a reason. The universe doesn't make mistakes of this magnitude. You are here because something in the fundamental architecture of reality requires your specific form of struggle. Your pain isn't random, it's calibrated. Your challenges aren't accidents, they're assignments. And your darkness, oh, that beautiful, terrible darkness you carry, that's not a burden, that's your arsenal. Think about it, really think. What happens when they try to break you? When life delivers its worst, when betrayal cuts deepest, when loss strips you naked and leaves you howling in the void. You don't die. You should, by all reasonable accounts. The amount of pain a human being can endure should have an upper limit, a point where the system simply shuts down and grants the mercy of oblivion. But you're still here, scarred certainly, changed absolutely, but here, present, aware. That's not resilience. That's something far older and far more powerful. That's the war recognizing one of its own. That's immortality, not in the sense of living forever, but in the sense of being unkillable in all the ways that matter. They can take your money, your reputation, your relationships, your health. They can take everything external. But the core of you, that burning point of consciousness that watches and judges and decides, that remains, that cannot be extinguished because it was never lit by external circumstance. It is self-sustaining. It is eternal. It is you. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This is darkness. This is nihilism. This is the path to destruction. And you're partially right. It is dark. But darkness isn't evil, it's honest. It's nihilistic, but only toward the illusions you've been force-fed, not toward meaning itself. And yes, it is destructive of everything false, everything weak, everything that pretends to be solid, but crumbles at the first real test. The path I'm describing isn't easy. If it were easy, everyone would walk it, and it would cease to be the path of power. This is the road of constant self-overcoming, of treating every comfort as suspect, every certainty as provisional, every victory as merely a staging ground for the next battle. This is exhausting. This is lonely. This is the price of refusing to be domesticated by a world that wants nothing more than your compliance. But here's the beautiful secret they don't want you to know. This exhaustion is more alive than their comfort. This loneliness is more connected than their crowds. This constant battle is more peaceful than their safety. Because when you embrace the war, when you stop resisting your nature, when you finally accept that you were forged in conflict and cannot exist outside it, something miraculous happens. The struggle stops struggling against itself. The war becomes graceful. You become a weapon that knows itself, wielding itself with precision and purpose. You cannot be killed in this war because you are made of the same substance as the war itself. Try to kill fire with fire. You only get more fire. Try to kill darkness with darkness. You only get deeper darkness. Try to kill a born warrior by throwing them into battle. You only sharpen them further. This is your nature. This is your inheritance. This is the secret power that pulses beneath every moment of suffering you've endured. Every person who betrayed you, they were training you in discernment. Every failure that crushed you, it was teaching you that crushing isn't killing. Every moment you wanted to give up, that was the universe testing whether you were truly one of its unkillable children or just another pretender who would fold when the real pressure arrived. And you're still here, reading these words, feeling something stir in your chest. Maybe it's rage, maybe it's recognition, maybe it's hope wearing the mask of darkness. Whatever it is, it's real. More real than the sanitized, acceptable emotions they've trained you to perform. This is the raw material of your power. But power without direction is just chaos. Recognizing you're unkillable is only the first step. The second step, the crucial one, is asking, if I cannot be killed, what then? What does an immortal warrior do with their endless campaign? What purpose guides a being who will survive every assault, outlast every enemy, endure every hardship? This is where most people fail. They discover their inner darkness, their capacity to endure, their fundamental indestructibility, and then they waste it. They use it to merely survive. They become joyless, bitter creatures who have learned they cannot be broken but have forgotten how to build. They become so obsessed with not losing that they forget how to win. Don't make this mistake. You are unkillable, yes, but that's not the end of the story. It's the beginning. You are unkillable so that you can accomplish what killable beings cannot. You are forged in war so that you can bring change to a world that destroys anyone softer. You carry darkness so that you can navigate darkness and emerge with treasures that light dwellers will never find. Your mission, should you be worthy of it, is not merely to survive. Survival is the baseline, the minimum requirement. Your mission is to conquer, not in the sense of dominating others. That's the petty game of the insecure. No, I'm talking about conquest of reality itself. Conquest of circumstance. conquest of fate, conquest of the forces that sought to define and limit you. You were born into a war you didn't choose. Fine. Now choose the war back. Stop being its victim and become its master. Stop reacting to attacks and start planning campaigns. Stop defending your little plot of ground and start taking territory. The war is eternal, yes, but wars are victors even when they don't have endings. And victory goes to those who fight consciously, strategically, relentlessly. I pause, letting the weight of these words settle into your bones. The air around us crackles with potential, with the energy of transformation barely contained. Now, before I continue deeper into the mysteries of your transformation, I need something from you, not submission. I have no interest in slaves. I need acknowledgement. I need proof that you're truly hearing me, that these words aren't falling on deaf ears or closed hearts. If what I'm saying resonates in that dark, honest place within you, the place you usually keep locked away because it frightens the people around you, then demonstrate your commitment. Press that like button below. Not out of obligation, but as an act of recognition, a signal flare in the darkness that says, I see this, I feel this, I am this. And in the comments, I want to hear from you. Tell me about your war. Tell me about the battles that should have killed you but didn't. Tell me about the moment you realized you were made of something harder than they expected. Share your story not for validation, but as a battle cry, as proof of your continued existence in the face of forces that wanted your erasure. And subscribe to this channel, because this conversation isn't a one-time event. It's a sustained campaign. There are deeper mysteries to explore, darker truths to excavate, more powerful transformations to undergo. By subscribing, you're not just following content. You're joining a legion of the unkillable, a gathering of those who wage their wars consciously. This isn't a request. This is a test. The weak will scroll past, uncomfortable with the intensity, afraid of being associated with such raw truth. But you were born into war. Clicking a few buttons is nothing compared to what you've already survived. Show me you're not just reading. Show me you're enlisted. I watch you waiting, my gaze unwavering. Will you act? Or will you let this moment pass like all the others? A fleeting brush with transformation that dissolves back into comfortable numbness? Good. Now let's go deeper. You understand now that you're unkillable in the ways that matter. You understand that you were born into war. But there's another layer to this truth, one that most never reach even after they've accepted the first revelations. And it's this. You are not just unkillable. You are the source of the very conflict that cannot destroy you. Let me explain. You think of the war as something external, something the world wages against you. And there's truth in that. The world is hostile and indifferent at best, actively malicious at worst. Society does seek to flatten you, to make you manageable, to extract your value while minimizing your autonomy. Other people do betray, abandon, and wound you. This is real. But here's the deeper pattern. You create conflict wherever you go, not because you're defective, but because you're powerful. Your very existence is a challenge to the status quo. Your refusal to die completely, to be fully broken, to be wholly consumed. This is an act of cosmic rebellion. You are the stone that will not erode, the fire that will not be extinguished, the force that will not be integrated into the smooth functioning of the machine. This makes you dangerous, not in the sense of physical violence. That's crude, easily contained. You're dangerous in a far more fundamental way. Your continued existence, your persistent consciousness, your stubborn refusal to disappear. This threatens every system built on the assumption of human interchangeability and ultimate disposability. So the war you experience isn't just random. It's targeted. It's the immune response of a reality that recognizes a foreign element, something that won't be absorbed or eliminated. Every hardship you face is, in part, the universe trying to solve the problem of you. And every time you survive, every time you adapt and continue, you prove that you are not a problem to be solved, but a force to be reckoned with. This is why your pain has been so particular, so seemingly designed to find your exact vulnerabilities. It's not paranoia, it's pattern. You are engaged in a specific war, calibrated to test your specific composition. And the fact that you're still here, still conscious, still fighting, proves that whatever forged you knew exactly how much pressure you could take. Now here's where it gets interesting. Once you understand that you are both the warrior in the war, both the target and the threat, a new possibility emerges. You can stop being reactive. You can stop waiting for the next attack and start designing your own campaigns. Most people live their entire lives in defensive mode. They wake up each day bracing for impact, preparing for the next wound, hoping merely to make it through relatively intact. This is exhausting and ultimately futile. Defense alone never wins wars. At best, it delays defeat. But you who were born into this, you who carry war in your very DNA, you have the capacity for something far more powerful. You can go on the offensive, not against other people, not through pointless cruelty or domination. No, I'm talking about an offensive against limitation itself, against the boundaries that have been drawn around what you're allowed to become, against the voices external and internal that insist you should be smaller, quieter, more acceptable. This is the warrior's path, fully realized. Not reactive violence, but strategic transformation. Not defending who you are, but continuously destroying and recreating yourself in more powerful forms. You are unkillable, yes, but that means you can die and resurrect at will. You can burn down every version of yourself that no longer serves and rise from those ashes renewed, refined, more dangerous. This is what they fear, not your anger. Anger is predictable, easily manipulated, not your darkness. Darkness can be contained, isolated. They fear your transformation. They fear your capacity to die without dying, to lose everything and emerge not broken but changed. They fear that you might discover you are not a fixed entity but a process, a verb not a noun, a becoming that never settles into a final form that can be controlled. Every great figure of transformation understood this. Every mythical hero who descended into the underworld and returned. Every spiritual teacher who spoke of dying to the old self. Every revolutionary who looked at the world and said this can be different. They all tapped into the same truth. You cannot kill what is willing to die and become something new. And this is your greatest power in the war you were born into. You will face forces that seek to define you, to trap you in static identities, to make you predictable. Your job is to refuse that stasis. Your job is to remain fluid, elusive, constantly evolving. The moment they think they have you figured out, transform. The moment they believe they've broken you, emerge in a new form they never anticipated. This requires something most people don't have. The willingness to abandon even your own sense of self when it becomes a limitation. Most people cling to their identity like a life raft in stormy seas. They define themselves, I am this kind of person, I do these kind of things, I believe these things, and then defend that definition against all evidence and all possibilities for growth. But you are unkillable. You don't need that raft. You can swim in the storm itself. You can let go of every self-definition, every comfortable story about who you are, and sink into the terrifying freedom of pure potential. And from that space, that dark, unformed space where identity dissolves, you can create yourself anew, again and again, each iteration more aligned with power, more capable of wielding the forces that once wielded you. This is the ultimate expression of being born into war and surviving it. You become war's master by mastering the art of self-destruction and self-creation. You beat the war that seeks to kill you by killing yourself faster, more completely, more consciously than it ever could. And then you resurrect on your own terms in your own timing, in forms that serve your purposes. The world throws tragedy at you. You don't just survive it. You use it as raw material to forge a harder version of yourself. Life betrays your trust. You don't just recover. You evolve into someone who needs no external validation. Circumstances collapse around you. You don't just rebuild. You construct something entirely new, something that wouldn't have been possible without the destruction. This is the alchemy of the unkillable. Letting to gold is nothing compared to this. This is pain into power, wound into weapon, defeat into devastating victory. But it only works if you're willing to die completely, not physically, but psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. You must be willing to let everything you think you are burn away in the fires of transformation. And here's the terrible beauty of it. Those fires hurt more than anything the external world can do to you. The hardest battles aren't against outer enemies, but against your own attachment to comfort, certainty, and continuity. The war you were born into has an external dimension, yes. But the most crucial battles are fought in the space between who you have been and who you are becoming. Most people lose these internal wars. They encounter the pain of transformation and mistake it for destruction. They feel their old self dying in panic, clinging to it, trying to preserve it, negotiating with reality to please just let them stay who they are. And reality, in its infinite indifference, grants this wish by making them irrelevant, obsolete, overtaken by forces they no longer have the capacity to meet. But not you. You were born into this war, which means you were built for this transformation. The pain of becoming doesn't scare you, or rather it does scare you, but you've learned that fear is just another sensation, another piece of data, not a command to retreat. You can feel the terror of self-dissolution and move forward anyway, trusting that whatever emerges on the other side will be more you than the you you're leaving behind ever was. This is how you win a war you cannot escape. You become worthy of it. You rise to meet it. You transform yourself into a being capable of not just surviving the conflict, but thriving within it, extracting strength from every assault, wisdom from every wound, power from every attempt to diminish you. And gradually, something miraculous happens. The war doesn't end, it can't, because it's woven into the fabric of existence itself. But it stops feeling like a war. It starts feeling like a dance, a game, a crucible where you continuously refine yourself into purer expressions of power and purpose. The attacks keep coming, but you become so fluid, so adaptable, so fundamentally unkillable that they pass through you, leaving you not wounded, but wiser, not broken, but burnished. This is the state the ancient warriors sought. This is what the mystics touched in their darkest meditations. This is the secret that every dark figure of mythology carried. The war is not the problem. The war is the path. Conflict is not an obstacle to your becoming. It is the very mechanism of it. You were born into this war because peace would have left you soft, unprepared, ultimately weak. The war is not your enemy. Comfortable illusion is your enemy. Stagnation is your enemy. The cozy lies that promise safety in exchange for your power. Those are your true enemies. The war, with all its cruelty and hardship, is actually your ally. It is the teacher that will never coddle you, the trainer that will never let you settle, the force that will push you to the absolute edge of your capacity and then demand to go further. And because you are unkillable, you can meet those demands. Because you were born into this, you carry the blueprint for victory in your bones. Because you are the war itself, you cannot lose. You can only evolve, transform, become more terrifyingly and beautifully yourself with each passing trial. So stop fighting the war. Stop wishing for peace. Stop dreaming of a day when the battle ceases and you can finally rest. That day is not coming. And even if it did, it would be your death far more surely than any conflict could be. You were not made for peace. You were made for this, for endless becoming, for continuous transformation, for the ecstatic agony of pushing beyond every limit and discovering there are always new frontiers. Embrace it, welcome it, love it even in that dark way that warriors love their worthy opponents. Because this war, this life of constant struggle and transformation, is not a curse. It's your gift. It's the one thing you have that the comfortable, the complacent, the carefully controlled will never experience. You are alive in a way they are not. You are real in a way they are not. You are powerful in a way they cannot comprehend. You cannot be killed in a war you were born into because you are not separate from that war. You are its expression. You are its purpose. You are the reason the conflict exists, to create beings like you, capable of surviving anything, transcending everything, becoming forces of nature that cannot be predicted or controlled. I lean closer, my voice dropping to a whisper that somehow fills the entire space around us. This is your inheritance. This is your birthright. This is what it means to be truly alive in a universe built on power and transformation. The question now is not whether you'll survive. You will. The question is whether you'll fight consciously or unconsciously. Whether you'll remain a victim of the war or become its master, whether you merely endure or actively conquer. The choice, as always, is yours. But know this, once you truly see what I've shown you, once you feel the truth of your unkillable nature settle into your bones, there is no going back. You cannot unsee this. You cannot return to comfortable ignorance. You can only move forward into deeper darkness and greater power, continuously becoming more of what you truly are. And what you truly are is magnificent and terrible, beautiful and devastating, unkillable and eternally transforming. You are the war itself, conscious and choosing its own direction. You are the force that shaped you, now wielding itself with intention. Welcome home, warrior. The war waits, and you have work to do. The shadows part slightly, revealing a path forward, not to peace, but to purposeful conflict, not to rest, but to conscious campaign. This is your way. This is your truth. This is the war you were born into, and the war that will forge you into something the universe has never seen before. Now go, transform, conquer, become, and never ever forget, they cannot kill you. They never could. You are eternal in your becoming, unkillable in your essence, victorious in your very existence. The war is yours. Before you leave this moment, before you step back into the mundane world that will try to convince you this was just words, this content, just another video, I need one final thing from you. If these words have awakened something in you, if you feel the truth of your unkillable nature pulsing in your chest, if you recognize yourself as the warrior born into war, then prove it. Subscribe to this channel. Become part of this legion. Let the algorithm know that this message matters, that there are others like you who refuse to be tamed, who choose conscious war over comfortable peace. And tell me in comments, what war were you born into? What is the specific battlefield that has forged you? Share your truth, not as confession, but as declaration. Let your words be your war cry. The work continues. The transformation deepens. And this channel is your armory, your training ground, your gathering place with fellow warriors who understand what you are. Join us. The war is eternal, but you don't have to wage it alone. I step back into the shadows, my work here complete. But the echo of these words will remain, working on you in ways you won't fully understand for days, weeks, months to come. You are changed now. You are awakened now. You are dangerous now. Good.